Hello, everyone. It's been a while since the last episode of Todos Santos. I think about 6 or 7 weeks now. I'm sorry about that. I get pretty busy, kind of in waves in my life. So yeah, it gets hard to produce episodes because these do take a long time to record and edit and find time to do the voiceover and stuff. And there's also the aspect of motivation for playing the game and editing these videos. And I think that when I'm feeling passionate and motivated about these videos, they turn out better. And I'd rather have better videos than videos that aren't better. So, yeah. I just think that, they might end up being a little less frequent when I do it like that. But in the end, it'll be a better series, and you guys will have a better time watching it than if I were to just kind of pump them out weekly, which, I'm not sure if there's a way to kind of like foster that passion so that it's there when it, normally wouldn't be. I'm not sure. I haven't really quite gotten there yet. But at this point, I'm going to try to do these as regularly as I can. I was thinking maybe every 2 weeks and keep them more regular instead of pumping out one a week for, a month or month and a half and then stopping for a while. That's probably more enjoyable for you guys to have them regularly. So I'm gonna try to do that. Yeah. All right. So now let's talk about what's going on here. This episode, we're basically laying out the road network of the island. And so now we have this little bit of an intersection here. And I focused on this one so much because, actually, I'll just pause it here so you can see. I'll talk about a little bit what my thought process is with this road layout. So we have these two main one-way roads, one coming in on the top there and one going out on the bottom, and those feed into the interchange we built last episode. And then we have this little crossroad here, just to the west of the interchange, I believe, and it comes out and it turns into this kind of unmarked darker road here up on the shoreline. And I'm imagining this that darker road is like the original highway or the original road that was built from one end of the island to the other, quite a long time ago. And then you see that little bit of that little tiny piece of road that comes off there on the right. That's eventually going to lead into a big park that's going to take up that whole northeastern side of the island here. Okay. All right. So now we're going in here. And this is our first major crossroad. And I'm imagining that this, the main island, it has some high density spots. But it's really, most of it is focused on tourism. So it's not going to be super, high density, high capacity like, the main downtown area is going to be later on in the series. And we also have this bike path here that's running along this old highway. I use the vanilla bike path and then eventually replace it just with a pedestrian path so that pedestrians can also use it. And I'd like to use one of the better looking ones from the workshop, but I know those have problems with sinking into the ground and stuff, and I've definitely had issues with that where that happens and it doesn't break my save, but I can't move it back up, so there's just this gaping hole in the ground. So I don't want that, so I'm going to hold off on that for now. Maybe there are some new assets out. I've been checking the Steam Workshop pretty regularly, and I haven't seen anything good, but it's possible I missed that, so let me know if there's anything new that doesn't have that issue. And now you see this roundabout here. I kind of wanted to create a newer development here on I think this is the south end of the island. So this is going to be kind of a very resorty, newer, pretty nice, nicely manicured area of the island. And we'll see. I'm not sure when I'm going to do that, but in the next couple episodes for sure, we build our first resort, and that's going to end up here. And you can see the avenue. The kind of left-right avenue there has bus lanes, and we're going to be doing, a cool little bit of a bus system on the island in a future episode. I think the same episode as the resort. We'll see. And it has kind of this weird thing where there are 2 lanes coming into the road, but then one of them is a lane for traffic, and one of them is a bus lane. And I kind of just figured that vehicles would yield to the buses when there's a bus there. So now, I mean, this is a pretty low capacity roundabout, and it has a big footprint, so it's not really, the most efficient use of a roundabout, but, we detail it and it looks pretty nice. It's something that I imagine would be at kind of the entrance to this resort area, because this road has been basically paid for by the resort companies that put up these resorts here. So it basically is there to look nice, and it eventually does handle traffic fine. I mean, it's not like a huge amount of traffic that goes in there. Now we're jumping over to this little area that's eventually going to be a small little bit of a port, seaport. Mostly just like, the ferry I talked about last episode, and some passenger stuff, some civilian stuff. And so you can make 1-unit roundabouts work fine. I think it looks, to me, that looks like something that would be in this kind of area, just like a small little roundabout, nothing too big, nothing too high capacity, just better than a 4-way stop for sure. And then there's a big parking lot there. That's just going to be kind of a public parking lot. In the real San Juan, there's like a massive parking lot in this area that basically takes up this whole little kind of knob of the island. I might do that. I might just do some, commercial buildings or industrial buildings or something. Now we're moving back up to the main part of the island, and we're extending this road from the roundabout over here. You can see that area that's submerged there to the left right now is it's underwater. And right now, yep, we're coming back in and raising that up. I originally intended this to be, a little bit of a port area, kind of an extension of that little part of the island over there. So I flattened that out, and there's this cool kind of windy road with a grass median in the middle, and that's inspired by where I live currently. There's this road. It's a pretty main thoroughfare through the city, but it's 1 lane per direction. There's a really thick grass median in the middle, and it's pretty windy. It's just fun to drive up and down that. Kind of goes up and down hills. It's a fun road to drive, so I wanted to kind of replicate that there, or the feeling of that. And then here's just the main road for this eventual port area. This isn't going to be anything too big. Again, we're going to do a huge port later on in the series, but I do want to have a little bit here because it just feels like something that would kind of be on this island as a relic from, a remnant of, the original development there, because that's where they would have had all their ships come in and stuff. All right, so I'm going to leave you with some music to watch me put down the rest of these roads, and I'll be back in just a little bit. These streets kind of look organic and not too grid-like. Because I didn't want, obviously this is the oldest part of the city, so it's been kind of developed outward from the the castle area. So the farther away it gets from there, the more grid-like it gets. That's what I kind of wanted to show here. Now we extended that kind of resorty road here. This whole corner of the island is going to be where that big resort is going to go. And you can see here, I have that road, those two roads coming through. Because I want to funnel people through that roundabout into the resort area, I end up changing one of those to a large pedestrian path so that only pedestrians can go through there. And then the other road, I end up turning into a bus lane for that kind of whole bus system that goes through there. Because I don't want people, it would just clog up the island to have people coming in through these tiny roads when there's this big roundabout, that they paid for. They don't want people coming in a different way. They want to impress people with this, nice looking roundabout. So, I go back and do that eventually. I'm not sure when. I'm just going to finish up these roads now. And I tried to do a little bit of a road hierarchy. So, the two main roads are, I think, 3 or 4 lanes, 3 lanes in each direction. Yeah. And then it goes down to 2-lane, 2-way roads with parking. I guess there are also the 4-lane roads, crossroads that go through there. And then the smallest roads, the ones with the fewest connections, are those little alleyways. Obviously, there isn't like every road that you would find in real life, there isn't an equivalent in the game, even with mods. So there are definitely some things that I'd like to see, especially in terms of like, I'd love to have bike lanes on the 3-lane one-ways. And I think there might actually be something like that on the workshop, but as bike lanes on both sides, as far as I know, which isn't something that I really want. So if I were a little more experienced with modding and stuff, I'd definitely try doing that, but I wouldn't even know how to start modeling roads and stuff and throwing those into the road editor. And now we are putting down some foliage in this roundabout, because obviously we want it to look nice. We don't really care if it blocks people's view, and that's definitely something I've experienced. A lot of roundabouts, at least here in the United States, are they have bushes and stuff blocking your view, which probably pretty much cancels out the safety benefits of roundabouts, but whatever, they look nice, I guess. Some yield signs. Again, I love signs in this game. They just add a lot of texture. And just to kind of blend everything together, I wanted to fill in these big kind of gaps of asphalt with these curbs, because I think they look pretty nice, and they just kind of make everything look more cohesive, and the whole kind of network just flows better when it's not just these big arid plains of asphalt. And then putting down some bus decals. And there's that yield there. I mean, that looks like a very dangerous intersection to me, but I think they'll do fine in the game. This isn't real life. And then these triangles, I think, add a lot of texture to the road, the yield to pedestrian triangles. Yeah, and I think here I forgot to have network extensions on, so that's why that crosswalk showed up, but I think I go back and fix that off camera. Here again, just putting that median in. I really think that adds a lot. It doesn't match perfectly with the median on the, the road on the other side, but I think it's enough to kind of just make everything flow together and look like it was, all built at once in one cohesive unit. On here I have those roads that add that sloping bit there, because I imagine the bike lane ends, and I wouldn't want the bikes to just merge with the traffic, which is definitely something that happens a lot with bike lanes in the US. So I didn't want that. I just think, to me, that kind of defeats the purpose of having a bike lane if you just have to end up in traffic anyway. So they basically have a ramp there where they can bike up onto the sidewalk and go through the roundabout. These awesome wear decals, just throwing those down, blend everything together. Yeah, so I think that I'll let you watch the last of the detailing, and I'll be back in just a minute. here's that pedestrian walkway I was talking about. I just thought that would kind of be like, maybe they originally had a road built here, a crossroad built here. Maybe this used to be like, the red light district or something, and it was just part of the normal street grid. And then, the resort basically paid to develop this area, because it's a pretty nice area as far as, this whole place is concerned. So they probably, building that roundabout, and then they would want to eliminate other ways into the area. So they maybe would have taken a road there and converted it into a pedestrian walkway. And here I'm making a timed traffic light so that pedestrians can cross here, because otherwise they're gonna, come across that walkway there, and they're gonna have to go, way to the right or way to the left to be able to cross. So I wanted, a safe place for pedestrians to cross here, where they will have the right of way. Yeah, so I just used it. Basically, it's a green light and then a red light, and I think I give, the cars quite a bit of time, and then give the pedestrians a little bit of time to cross. Unfortunately, you can't have it so, like, when enough people are there, the light changes, but that's fine. Okay, so here we're detailing this intersection, and I think I mentioned this before. I just love detailing this kind of thing, intersections and lines on the road and stuff. So I tried to find a balance between having a lot of detail and not detailing everything. So what I tried to do was keep it to the main roads being detailed. I didn't go through and add ploppable asphalt to cover up crosswalks on all these little tiny roads, just where they cross these main avenues, so that if you were to take, a first-person drive down the main roads, it would look pretty decent. Because if there's one thing that really bothers me, it is crosswalks where they shouldn't be in this game. And I think there might actually be a mod out now that removes crosswalks, so I might try that out. But for now, this was recorded quite a while ago, so that wasn't out at this point. So you're gonna have to put up with some ploppable asphalt. So now we're going to take all these details and copy them and then paste them. That's a lot easier than redoing everything when it's pretty much the same thing. And then just adjust it with Move It. And I just think that these kind of things add, this is why I play the game, honestly, is just having this level of detail and realism for roads and intersections, because that's really how I interact with, roads where I live mostly, is crossing intersections. And, when you're driving, you don't pay as much attention, but as a pedestrian, you kind of take in all these details. Yeah, and I just think it's kind of cool to replicate that in game. Now there's this T intersection here, and there's kind of that little entrance onto the bike path. I just thought that was kind of cool with the bollards and stuff. And yeah, I needed crosswalks here so people can get over there. And I think those little strips of pavement there that I just added really add a lot, and then this little bit of foliage just kind of helps make a kind of a weirdly nice little area down here. Obviously it's not super detailed, we're going to get to that in another episode, but eventually this will all be detailed, and this will be kind of a nice little bit of green space right here along that bike path in the highway. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with it, but we'll figure that out in a future episode. I think it's going to be a cool little area. And so one thing I wanted to do here was have just this little bit of road marking at the intersection. That's one thing I've seen a lot in kind of more, not rural, but less developed areas in cities, is even if there's no marking for most of the road, they'll have it at the intersections just so it's clear, where you're supposed to be. And now we're doing the other T intersection. This one's a little less interesting. Actually, no, this is over on the south side of the island. Right before that kind of windy road down to the port. Yeah, so there's that turn lane there that I added coming up from the port. I think that's one thing that can add a lot of detail to this game, is turn pockets. and left turn lanes and right turn lanes where they make sense. It does add a lot of work to building these road networks, but I think it adds a lot of detail, because when you have these like 4-lane roads meeting a large road and there's no turn lane, I mean, I'm rolling with it here, but I don't think it's the most realistic or practical thing ever, but it works fine for here. But there are definitely areas where I think it's important to pay attention to turn lanes and stuff like that. All right, so that's pretty much it for the Island Road Network. Next episode, not sure, I think we'll be doing the resort, I'll see, but yeah, so that should be pretty fun. So I'm going to leave you with the very end of the detailing here. I hope you enjoy that. I hope you enjoy the cinematics. Again, I'm sorry for the wait, but thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time on Todos Santos.